Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one crazy, epically cool, and amazing ride tonight on the Josh Nolan and Oliver Schultz Full Throttle Racing Show, hashtag one on YouTube. Tonight we have with us racing sensation, racing superstar, Cale Coons. Welcome to the show, Cale.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, Cale, let's talk about your racing career. Where did this awesome journey begin for you?
Quarter midgets. I started running quarter midgets when I was 6.
Okay, what was that like for you to climb in a quarter midget for the first time, if you can remember back?
I don't remember much, but I know it was fun because always watching my dad and everybody else in midgets, sprint cars and stuff. Um wanted to I wanted to be like them.
Okay, so Kale, when you climbed into your quarter midget for the first time, did the success come right away, or did it take a little bit of a building curve to get there?
Um I feel like it was definitely I don't remember honestly I don't remember much of when I started, but I would say it probably was learning experience for sure at first.
Okay, how long before the success started coming then for you to actually start winning races and get where you are today?
Probably a year or so I started being consistent and quarter midgets, and then moving up, it helped me a lot.
Okay, so Kale, when you moved up from where you started at and to where you are now, how many victories do you have, or how much success have you had as a race car driver up till now?
I feel like I've had quite a bit of a success, but I don't know how many wins I've had. But yeah, I feel like I've had quite a bit of success through the years.
Okay, so Kale, um, with all the success throughout the years, what is your 5 year plan with racing? Where do you want to go with this racing career in the next 5 years?
Hopefully within couple years, move up to midgets, and then just see where that goes. Hopefully sprint cars.
Okay, are you talking like non-wing sprint cars or wing sprint cars that you want to go into?
Probably start out after midgets, go to some non-wing stuff, and then hopefully end up in a wing.
Okay, would you like to kind of be with the World of Outlaws eventually, or racing with them guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kale, what is your 10 year plan with the racing? Where do you want to be at in 10 years from now?
Oh, 10 years. Um, I don't really know. That's a tough question. Probably just in sprint cars, wing sprint cars, getting better, getting more consistent in those.
Okay. So, Kale, with your racing career, you said you want to get better and get into sprint cars and wing sprint cars. With that being said, do you have a particular track that you're looking forward to racing in when you get into wing sprint cars?
Um, I think Eldora and Knoxville, I think those two would be pretty cool to race at.
There's a track that I'd love to see you at, and that's called Jackson Motorplex. That is one heck of a good racetrack. That's a 4/10 mile World of Outlaw track, and it's just epically cool to be out that track.
Yeah.
So, Kale, let's talk about the story now about your race car number. Where did that race car number come from?
Um, my dad, he ran number 3, in midgets whenever in his New Zealand car and stuff, and I just liked the number since then.
Okay, so you like the number three. Do you is are you a big fan of Earnhardt seniors too? That's why you like the three, or
I mean, yeah, I like Dale Earnhardt, but I mainly got it from my dad.
okay, very cool, very cool. So, Kale, with your racing career, um, do you have any big racing events that you're looking forward to doing coming up?
I don't know that we've really told anybody this yet, but this year I'm running the Chili Bowl. I think that'll be cool and that'll be exciting. Not going any with any expectations, just going there to have fun.
Go there and have fun. And I'll tell you what, I wish you all the success in the world at that race because that is a huge race. So, Kale, with your racing career now, um, who do you have for sponsors on your race team?
Impact Race Gear, US Lawns, Driven Midwest, DSR Power, TJ Forged Wheels, CSI Shocks, Harley Hall and Companies, and then on the D2 midget that I run for Chuck Taylor is just Chuck Taylor Racing in Irwin in Troy, Ohio.
Okay, Cale, what makes you okay? You're going to Chili Bowl. What makes that track so fascinating to race at?
I think just the competition, like everybody throughout, a lot of people throughout the world are there, and to compete with all those guys is a pretty cool experience.
Okay, they get a lot of cars for the Chili Bowl, also, right, along with the Tulsa Shootout. Um, so, Cale, are you still looking for sponsors for your racing team?
I mean, everybody could always use sponsors, right? But so yeah, we are, but like at the same time, it is like whatever you get.
So I would like to help you out a little bit, Cale. If there's anybody out here going to be watching this racing show with me and Cale Coons, and you want to help him out with his racing career, reach out to Cale and his racing team because they'd appreciate the sponsorship on Cale's race cars as he gets further into his racing career. So, Cale, um, when you're getting ready to go on the racetrack, what's the thought process like for you? What kind of gets you mentally focused to go out and do this?
I don't, I don't really, I just kind of zone out of everything else, and I kind of just see who's around me. Like if there's a bunch of fast guys, um, I know that I could like be around them and whatnot.
Okay, so you don't have like a particular song or music choices on your phone that you kind of help get you dialed in the mode.
No, not really.
Okay, so Cale, when it comes to your race car, do you help work on that race car yourself then too, or
Yeah, help a little bit. At the shop and stuff. At the racetrack, my dad doesn't usually let me touch the car very much, but um,
okay? So Cale, what is your home racetrack that you're racing on now?
um, there's not. I mean, there's not really a home racetrack anymore for us because we race a lot, but at a lot of different racetracks. But if like a weekly show, if we don't have any other racing going on, it would be US 24 Speedway or Wayne County in Illinois. It's a couple of
Okay,
those.
okay. So Cale, when you're setting up your race car for the track, what's what kind of adjustments can you make to your car to adapt to the different track? Because I know a little bit about your type of racing, but I don't know a lot.
So you could change shocks. Obviously, you move right rear in and out, stagger. There's a lot of different ways to what to do on your car, but those are just a few of them.
Okay, so Cale, um, when you're at the racetrack, what's your favorite racetrack to race on?
This is um, I don't know that I really have like but maybe Belleville, Kansas, just because on the little track, just because the atmosphere, and I've been going there since I was like one or two, so I've just gone there a long time. And then that long break they took with the midgets and stuff, so it was just good to go back there after a long time.
So, okay, getting into that a little bit further, what's your favorite track surface that you race on? Is it you like a dry slick track, a a dusty track, or you kind of or like a really heavy track to race on?
No, I like tracks that are usually, I mean, around the top, 2 lanes. Everybody likes 2 lane racetrack though, so just
Yeah.
2 lane good racing.
Oh yeah. So Cale, with your racing career, do you have a racing nickname?
No, I don't.
That's one thing we got to work on getting for you, Cale. That's a must. I have a racing nickname myself, Cale. I am the Full Throttle Rock Star, which is pretty cool to have that nickname and live up to that nickname. But Cale, um, so who is your racing hero? Who is the driver that you look up to in your racing career that you're like, man, I've got to be just like that person then?
Well, there's two different Brian Clausen. And the cool thing about him is I'm getting to run at the Chili Bowl. I'm running for the car owner that he ran for 10 years ago whenever he won the Chili Bowl. And so his car owner asked if I could go and run for him for it being the 10-year anniversary. And I've known him. My dad ran for him too. Joe Dooling. I've or my dad's ran for him too, and I've known him ever since I was been born. So I think Brian and probably my dad.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Did you ever get a chance to sit down and talk to Brian at all before he passed away?
I mean, like I talked to him, but I don't remember it because I was really young. I'm only 14 now, and he died in 2016, I believe. So I was not very old. I don't really remember much.
Okay, okay. So, Cale, when you're at the racetrack and you're getting hungry, what's your go-to food for the track?
Probably cheeseburger or pulled pork.
Cheeseburger. Oh, okay, okay. When you're away from the racetrack, what's your go-to restaurant then, Cale?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is really good. I give you that. I'll give you that. I'll give you props on that one. So when you're at home, Cale, what's your favorite home cooked meal that your family makes for you?
Um, we don't eat at home very much, actually. Like we're always apart, our family, so we don't have much time to eat. Like my mom and my sister are usually at softball or cheerleading, and me and my dad are working on race cars. So we don't
Okay,
usually
okay,
eat together.
okay, okay. So Cale, who are some of your friends at the racetrack?
Um, in the D2 side, I don't talk to much people at the racetrack, I feel like. But Jake Boxel, Bryce Bassingill, and then micros, Joby Duffy, um, Landon Gutwine, just a few of them.
Okay, okay. So Cale, what do your school friends think of you being a race car driver?
I don't really talk about it that much. A lot of people I don't even think know about that I run race cars but then there's a couple that do. A couple have gone in my races before, but yeah, not very many people know about me, my racing career.
Okay. So Cale, when you get older, would you ever think about running the Indy 500 at all?
If I got the opportunity to, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, Cale, do you have any crazy stories you'd like to share with us about your racing career? Like crazy victories you've had, crazy accidents, crazy things happened on the racetrack with your race car. You can gladly share that with us.
I really don't think I've had many crazy experiences on the racetrack. I can't really think of any that have happened to me.
Okay. Okay. So, Cale, do you have any advice for the kids coming up in the racing world?
Um, just keep going at it. Some races can be really extremely tough, and then others can be very rewarding. So it's just a lot of mind games within racing.
Okay. So, who helps work on your race car there, Cale?
On the micro side, my dad, my grandpa, and then on the midget, Chuck Taylor, my car owner, and my dad.
Okay. So, Cale, we're at this portion of the racing show now where I do something pretty spectacular. You've never experienced that probably with me before because this is your first time talking to me. I'm going to turn the mic over to you. You can ask me some questions if you have any questions for me. That's entirely up to you.
Um, who's your favorite dirt race car driver?
I'll tell you what, Cale, watching USAC midgets and stuff like that all through the years, your dad is one of my favorites, definitely. Your dad, and then I also remember back in the day watching Rich Vogler, him running midgets and sprint cars. He was one of my childhood drivers I used to watch. World of Outlaw wise, I tell you, my idol in the World of Outlaws and just a phenomenal guy to sit down and talk to and talk about his racing career was Doug Wolfgang. Wolf knew what it was all about to be out there and run with them guys week in and week out.
What's your favorite dirt race cars?
I like sprint cars. I like sprint cars and I like midgets. Definitely. I like some modifieds, some big block cars. Definitely. I like World of Outlaw sprint car racing, 360 sprint car racing, USAC sprint car racing. So yes, definitely. I like a lot of different dirt racing series.
And lastly, what's your favorite racetrack you've been to?
I'll give you my list of my top. Let's go top seven. One I've been to is Britt, Iowa for the Night of 1,000 Stars. Big IMCA event, huge out here in the Midwest. Number six on that list is, I would say, Spencer, Iowa. Spencer, Iowa, very, very awesome racetrack to go to. Definitely very awesome racetrack. They take care of the racing service really well. Number five is a track called Fairmont Raceway, Fairmont, Minnesota. It's a half mile dirt track. Totally awesome to race on. Number four is that I've been to a couple times. Algona Raceway. Algona Raceway is pretty huge. Number three, actually go back, cancel out the Algona. Boone, Iowa is number four. Boone because it's such a huge and epically cool event to go to. Super Nationals, 7 days of racing nonstop, insane racing. Number three is Algona. Number two, Algona is a short track. Number two, I've been to is Jackson Motorplex because I'll tell you what, that's a 4/10 mile World of Outlaw track. Number one on my list of dirt tracks I've been to, Knoxville, Iowa for the Knoxville Nationals. I was there 2 years in a row for that, and that was pretty cool to go down and watch that.
That's all I got.
And Cale, I'll tell you about my last experience at the Knoxville Nationals. Very awesome. I was able to meet somebody from your home state of Indiana, Cale, and sit down and talk to them in the pits and have a one-on-one conversation with them. And I actually had a chance to sit down and talk to Carl Kinzer. And that was pretty cool to talk to Carl
Yeah,
Kinzer.
that's cool.
Yeah. So, Cale, is there anybody else you'd like to thank for helping you get this far with your racing career?
Just like I said, all my sponsors, especially my mom and dad, and just all my family members.
Okay. So, Cale, do you have a racing page that the racing fans can follow you on?
Facebook and Twitter is Cale Coons Racing.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you get time, go hit up Twitter and Facebook, Cale Coons Racing, because Cale would love to have the fans come join him and follow him on both of them accounts on Twitter and Facebook. But with that being said, Cale, I would like to thank you for being on the racing show with me tonight, talking to us about your racing career, getting to know you a little bit better. It's been my pleasure to sit down and talk to you, Cale.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, and I'll have you step out, Cale, and I will call you a little bit to thank you in person on your dad's phone. Okay?
All right. See ya.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Cale Coons, a midget driver, micro sprint driver, and all around dirt track racer. Definitely awesome kid to go follow and definitely get to know. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank Racing Newswise for the final NASCAR Next Cup Series, NASCAR um, Monster Energy Drink Series race of the season at Homestead. Kevin Harvick is going to be driving a number four Budweiser entry. So that's going to be pretty cool to see that. Also, ladies and gentlemen, out of the NHRA series, Leah Pritchett, or Leah Pritchett Stewart, should I say, has taken over the Top Fuel Dragster point lead after her victory last weekend. So congratulations to Leah. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, also there's still plenty of racing going on out there. A lot of things are shaking up in the racing series. Anthony Macari is going back to his family team, so good luck to Anthony on that journey. Also, ladies and gentlemen, definitely, like I said, last weekend at the races, I have a little news with that. Um, Carson Hovasar blew out a tire and hit the wall in that race. Sorry that happened to Carson. Also, that same race, Eric Jones blew out a tire also, and they were having tire trouble like crazy in some of them cars. But also, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Kyle Larson for picking up his second win in the NASCAR Championship, going into the round of four. So Kyle Larson definitely something to be to watch. Hopefully, he can pick up the NASCAR Championship on that deal. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, just coming on here, talking to you a little bit about racing. Also talking to Cale Coons. Um, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube. But before I let you go, I would like to thank our sponsors, Dirt Track Racers, Race Cars and Company. Go hit up dirttrackracecars.com for all your racing diecast needs. They have got the 8D of Doug Wolfgang and the DP Motorsports car that he drove in the 1989 Knoxville Nationals in 164 scale. They also have the Orange 8 car that Doug Wolfgang drove in 1990 in the 164 scale also. But then they turn around and release the number 29 Weikert's Livestock Doug Wolfgang race car that he won the Knoxville Nationals with in 1985 in 164 scale. But then also they turned around and released the number 47 Danny the Dude Lasowski Gil Sonner Casey's General Store car in 164 scale. And lastly, this time around, they released the one Nance car that Sammy Swindell drove in 1982 in the World of Outlaw series. So those are their five new cars that they've just released. Go hit up Dirt Track Race Cars and Company at dirttrackracecars.com for all your racing diecast needs. I would also like to thank Manning Motorsports for sponsoring this racing show, Brody Manning and Moline Motorsports. And then also I would like to thank New England Hemophilia Association and running Walking with Waylon for being a part of this racing show also. But if you would like to sponsor this racing show or be a part of this, be on this racing show, feel free to email me at jjnolan151@gmail.com, or you can call or text me at 712-209-7138. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan and Oliver Schultz Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube. And continue living life at full throttle.